It was a cold, rainy night in late October when I heard the knock on the door. I was slouched on the couch in our small suburban house, staring blankly at the TV. The screen flickered with some late-night talk show, but my mind was elsewhere, lost in thoughts of my brother, Alex. It had been 7 months since he disappeared, and every day felt like a lifetime without him. Alex and I were tight, always had been. Growing up, we shared everything: secrets, dreams, stupid inside jokes that only we found funny. He was the outgoing one, always cracking jokes or pulling pranks, his grin lighting up any room. I was the quieter one, content to let him take the spotlight. So when he vanished without a trace, it was like someone had ripped out half my soul. The police searched for weeks. His car was found abandoned on a back road, keys still in the ignition, but no sign of him. No leads, no clues, just an empty void where my brother used to be. My parents were wrecks. Mum barely left her room, and Dad threw himself into work to avoid the silence at home. I tried to hold it together for them, but the guilt was eating me alive. The last time I saw Alex, we'd argued over something dumb. Money he owed me for fixing his car. He'd stormed out, saying he needed air, and that was it. He never came back. I kept replaying that fight, wondering if I'd pushed him too far, if I could have stopped him from leaving. That night, as the rain hammered the windows, the knock came. At first, I thought it was the wind rattling the old house, or my tired mind playing tricks. But then it came again. 3 sharp raps, deliberate and insistent. My heart thudded in my chest. Who would be out here at nearly midnight? We lived on a quiet street, and visitors were rare, especially this late. I dragged myself to the door, my socks scuffing the hardwood floor, and peered through the peephole. My breath caught in my throat. Standing there, drenched from head to toe, was Alex. His clothes were tattered, his face pale and gaunt, but it was him, my brother. I fumbled with the lock, my hand shaking so badly I nearly dropped the keys. When I finally yanked the door open, the cold air hit me like a slap. "Alex?" I whispered, my voice barely audible over the rain. He looked at me with hollow eyes, his lips trembling. "Let me in," he said, his voice hoarse, like he hadn't spoken in weeks. I stepped aside, and he stumbled into the house, collapsing onto the floor just inside the doorway. I caught him under the arms, half dragging him to the couch. "What happened to you?" I asked, my mind racing. "Where have you been?" He didn't answer, just stared straight ahead, his body shivering violently. His clothes were soaked, clinging to his thin frame, and his skin was clammy and cold. I grabbed a blanket from the armchair and wrapped it around him, then rushed to the kitchen to make tea. My hands shook as I filled the kettle, questions piling up in my head. Where had he been? Why was he back now? And why did he look so wrong? When I returned with the steaming mug, he was still sitting there, motionless, staring at the wall. "Alex, talk to me," I pleaded, setting the tea on the coffee table. "Where were you? What happened?" He turned to me slowly, his eyes dark and sunken, filled with a fear I'd never seen in him before. There was something else there too, something I couldn't name, like a shadow lurking behind his gaze. "I can't tell you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's not safe." "Not safe?" My stomach twisted. "What do you mean? Who's after you?" He shook his head, his jaw tight. "Just don't ask, please." I wanted to push him, to demand answers, but he looked so fragile, like he might shatter if I pressed too hard. Instead, I helped him to his old room upstairs. He lay down on the bed, still in his wet clothes, and I pulled the blanket over him. As I tucked it around his shoulders, I noticed something on his forearm, a mark, like a burn or a scar, in the shape of a twisted star with jagged lines radiating from it. It looked deliberate, almost like a brand. "What's this?" I asked, pointing to the mark. He yanked his sleeve down, covering it. "Nothing," he snapped, his voice sharp enough to make me flinch. "Just leave it alone." I backed off, my heart pounding. I'd never heard him sound like that, so defensive, so afraid. I closed the door softly and went downstairs to call our parents. They were overjoyed, sobbing through the phone, promising to come over first thing in the morning. But even as I shared their relief, a knot of unease tightened in my chest. Something was wrong with Alex. He wasn't the same. The next morning, my parents arrived at dawn, their faces a mix of hope and exhaustion. Mum rushed to Alex's room, tears streaming down her face. But when she opened the door, the bed was empty. The blankets were neatly folded, as if he'd never been there at all. "Alex?" I called, my voice echoing through the house. I checked every room, the basement, even the backyard, but he was gone. It was like he'd vanished into thin air again. My parents were inconsolable. Dad called the police, but they were skeptical, suggesting Alex had run away again, maybe struggling with mental health issues. I wanted to scream at them, to tell them they didn't know my brother, but I had no proof, no explanation for what was happening. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing that mark on Alex's arm, the way his eyes had looked, empty, haunted. I grabbed my laptop and started searching for the symbol online. At first, I found nothing but random occult nonsense and conspiracy theories. But then, buried in a forum post, on a site dedicated to urban legends, I found a thread about a small town called Millfield. People there had reported disappearances during foggy nights, and some mentioned a strange symbol, a twisted star, branded on the victims who returned. The locals believed the fog was a gateway to another world, a place where malevolent creatures preyed on humans, marking them as their own. My blood ran cold. This was too close to Alex's story, too close to that mark. I had to know more. The next day, I packed a bag and drove 4 hours to Millfield. The town was exactly as I'd imagined. Old, run-down houses, narrow streets, and an oppressive silence that made my skin crawl. It felt like the kind of place where secrets festered. I stopped at a diner on the main street, the kind with cracked vinyl booths and a jukebox that hadn't worked in years. The waitress, a middle-aged woman with tired eyes, poured me coffee and listened as I explained why I was there. "I'm looking for my brother," I said. "He disappeared 7 months ago, and I think it's connected to the fog." She froze, her hand tightening around the coffee pot. "You don't want to mess with that," she said quietly. "People go missing in the fog around here. Always have. No one ever finds them." "Is there anyone who knows more?" I pressed. She hesitated, then leaned in. "Old man Jenkins, out on the edge of town. He's been here forever, knows all the stories. But he's strange. Be careful." I thanked her and drove to Jenkins' place, a dilapidated shack surrounded by an overgrown garden. A faded "Beware of Dog" sign hung crookedly on the gate, though I didn't see or hear any dog. I knocked, and after a long pause, the door creaked open. An old man with wild white hair and piercing blue eyes glared at me. "What do you want?" he growled. "I need to know about the disappearances in the fog," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He studied me for a moment, then stepped aside. "Come in." The inside of his house smelled like tobacco and decay. He sat in a sagging armchair and gestured for me to sit on a rickety stool. "So you want to know about the fog?" he said, lighting a cigarette. "It's not just fog. It's a portal, a doorway to another realm." "Another realm?" I asked, my heart pounding. He nodded, exhaling a cloud of smoke. "A place where time and space don't work like they do here. It's home to things, creatures that aren't human. They take people, study them, experiment on them. Sometimes they send them back, but they're never the same." This was exactly what Alex had hinted at. "My brother came back," I said, "but he was different. He had a mark on his arm, like a twisted star." Jenkins' eyes narrowed. "That's their mark. Means they've claimed him. He belongs to them now." My stomach churned. "How do I get him back?" He shook his head. "You don't. It's too dangerous. Those who go after their loved ones rarely return. And those who do, they're changed, broken." "I have to try," I said, my voice firm. "He's my brother." Jenkins sighed, then reached into a drawer and pulled out a small glass vial filled with a glowing liquid. "Take this," he said. "It's a protection charm. Might keep them at bay, but it's no guarantee. And stay close to the light. They hate light. Whatever you do, don't let them mark you. If they do, you're theirs forever." I took the vial, its warmth pulsing in my hand. "When does the fog come?" "Tonight," he said, glancing out the window. "Full moon, stars aligned. It's one of their nights." I drove back home, my mind racing. By the time I arrived, the fog was already rolling in, thick and heavy, swallowing the streetlights. I parked and stepped out, clutching the vial. The air was damp, the silence suffocating. I walked to the spot where Alex had appeared that first night, my boots crunching on the gravel. "Alex," I called, my voice muffled by the fog. "Are you here?" Nothing, just the oppressive weight of the mist. Then, a whisper, faint at first, growing louder. "Come to us," it hissed. "Join us." I gripped the vial tighter, remembering Jenkins's warning. "Don't follow the voices." A figure emerged from the fog. It was Alex, but he was wrong. His eyes glowed red, his skin pale and almost translucent, like something not entirely human. "Alex, it's me," I said, my voice trembling. "Your brother." He tilted his head, his expression blank. "Brother? I don't have a brother. I am one of them now." My heart sank. "No, you're not. You're Alex. I'm here to take you home." He shook his head, a faint smile curling his lips. "I can't go back. They won't let me." Before I could respond, other figures appeared. Tall, shadowy shapes with burning eyes. They surrounded us, their voices a low, guttural hum. "He is ours," they said in unison. "Leave now or join him." I raised the vial, and a blinding light burst from it, forcing the creatures to recoil. "Alex, take my hand," I shouted. He hesitated, his eyes flickering between red and their normal brown. Then, slowly, he reached out. Our fingers touched, and I pulled him toward me, running through the fog as the creature's howls echoed behind us. We burst out of the mist into the clear night air, collapsing onto the grass. "Are you okay?" I gasped, my chest heaving. Alex blinked, his eyes normal again. I think so. It's all a blur." I helped him up, my hands shaking. "You're safe now," I said, though I wasn't sure I believed it. We went back to the house and Alex slept for hours. When he woke, he couldn't remember much, just fragments of a dark, cold place and voices that weren't human. I didn't press him. I was just glad to have him back. But the unease never left me. Every night, I checked the windows, half expecting to see those glowing eyes in the dark. And when the fog rolls in, I hear them, whispers calling my name, tempting me to step into the mist. I keep the vial close, its faint glow a reminder of what's out there. I don't know if Alex is truly free, or if they're just waiting, biding their time. All I know is that I'll do whatever it takes to keep my brother safe, even if it means facing the fog again.